What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Roots. So I'm going to review the 6th album by musician Post Malone. Basically this product is called F-1 Trillion. And it came out in the summer of 2024. So this is a relatively recent type one within the pitch behind it. I've caught up with everything Post Malone has done for the most part as far as this fair is going to happen. Now particularly there is a bonus edition to this album that I'm not going to review, the long bed edition of this album, which has an additional 9 or 10 songs within the impact of it. I'm going to get to that down the road, so that will happen within the passage of it. But basically in terms of like the standard Post Malone studio album type format, this is the most recent album he's dropped, if you're not counting the Nirvana tribute that he did back in April 2025. So some good type pitches. I want to get to that one as well. That's some excellent type stuff. Really enjoy Nirvana pitches like that. So some good type fare. But look after here. This is another classic for Post Malone. Just going to go ahead and say right off the bat, the impact of this is pretty severe. And it does it without the typical type fashion. Within the pitch behind it, if you paid attention to the review I did back in February and his 2023 album, Austin, as far as those first going to happen, that was definitely an excellent type of appeal, as that was kind of entering like the country type phase, but it was kind of like a conduit where it had some leftover traces of Post Malone from like his rap days, pitches like that. Some of those particular type fares, it felt like it had some leftover songs within the format of a little bit of Beer Bongs and Bentleys and like Hollywood's Bleeding, and then like 12 Karat Toothache in there within modern type pitches. Had a little bit of streaming bass and bop within those pitches. This one is a full bound country album. It has the pitch, a lot of country big names on here as far as what's going to happen. Just the pitch as far as the bolter, man, it's just within the appeal. You would think if you had started with this particular album, you would have thought that Post Malone was just routinely doing country, because just the impact of it is pretty severe. Now this one, not as slumped, not as malaise, not as drunken within the aspects of it, actually has country type. This particular album actually has country within a pitch, a different type, jaunts within the aspect, not just like the 2023 one was the aspect of like when you think of like Kid Rock's Devil Without a Cause, some of those type pitches of just like a kind of a malaise of just like heartache that goes along with like karaoke bar and neon nightlife type dredge within those aspects of this, the hangovers and the after effect of getting to the makeshift go-ins and pitches like that. This one is just like a pretty factory type country album with the pitch. It just nails the particular appeal about it. It has a good alignment. Now I will say about this album within the pitch, in terms of like a real dance rifter as far as those pitches can have, and just something within the impact. I mean, this album's going to get a 10 out of 10. Recommend all 18 songs, but in terms of something that, I mean, I feel like and that's the concept within a pitch. When you think of like a country kind of dance song, from some of the country that I've noticed within the past good while, thinking of like when you think of Jason Aldean, Florida Georgia Line, some of these type of folks, Taylor Swift, some of these type of folks within the pitches behind it, usually you'll get some. You would get something from Taylor Swift, like a dance type gem in there, like I Knew You Were Trouble, something like that, but within the pitch is something that's actually going to be amidst like the craziness. I mean, it has drinks within the system, but it does it not necessarily on the dance floor in mind as far as this pitch can happen. There are some ones for like some degree of nightlife on here, but it has a pretty good embrace of just being like a loud pack for like the concept of just like the goings are on. So this actually has some country makeshift on here, the format of Post Malone adapting from his previous styles to being able to do country makeshift as if he was Luke Combs or Blake Shelton, some of these types of people within the formats, some of those particular type folks within the particular fair, belting out some of these type ones within the pitch, of just getting towards like the good type, pitch behind it. So it's just, it nails that, this usual kind of dredge and just going about as far as those fairs gonna happen. It's just to the pitch as far as saying the nightlife is kind of on here, but it's not as full bound designated. It has to do with the impact, but it kind of deals with the product of. There are some spices about this album where it has the pitch of like some furiousness towards it, but the aspect behind it is it's not as full bound kind of like I do feel like the better album, not so much, I mean both these albums got a 10 out of 10, but the album that has a little bit more contemporary type pitch towards it, in terms of like a little bit more spice for folks that are wanting for more Friday, Saturday type material, Thursday type material within those pitches, would probably be Austin within those fairs. But this is just more adaptable to like the format. Jason Aldean would do this as well, folks like that. It's just within the pitch. Post Malone does have like some good whiskey and Jack Daniels in his system at times within the pitch behind it. He's no stranger to it, but it's just kind of pitch as far as saying that this has a good alignment as far as the other aspects of country, just apart from just like sippage and pitches like that. So I'd say it has the concept, but this one's also not as heartbroken within the pitch behind it. It does have some of those malign type songs on here, but it's a little bit more straightforward with like the general mode and just the pitch as far as just typical type traffic and just amidst like the day shift and fairs like that. So now, there were 5 singles off this project. The promotion just recently wrapped for it. So I'd say at least one of these songs off this album hit number 1, which is the lead single, I Had Some Help. This is real excellent type of appeal. So this is just vibes of last year. was not particularly listening full bound to the radio like that last year, so I didn't catch this song. I would like to. It's a pretty excellent type of song. I definitely say it's pretty notable. Just once again proves, originally I was thinking that Post Malone was kind of phasing out of the spotlight. It felt like that more back in 2022, 2023. 2023 was, the Austin album was good, but it was within the pitches that was just kind of more haphazard within the commercial kind of appeal. Kind of had here and there type singles, but Post Malone is right back in the spotlight, back where he was back in 2018 and 2019, some of those type pitches within the format of it. So it's just right back in the appeal. I want to say that Had Some Help has a new sensation like country music. Morgan Wallen on this particular song, which is some excellent type of appeal. They have some good type chemistry. So I Had Some Help. It's an evening fizz kind of spices to kind of get here. Just wrapped up usuals and a sludgy kind of. This is some just wrapped up usuals. I'd have to say a sludgy kind of ready for some spark as far as this first game. So this just has the product of it. It's been the format. I Had Some Help. This has a real excellent kind of contemporary spark about it as far as this first game. Definitely excellent type pitch. Kind of get this one on the radio. This is very deserving of number one. I'd say within those impacts of it. Easy kind of one. Just simply here and just has some good after effects of. Like I said, Post Malone takes this new shift kind of. Post Malone takes this country makeshift and a kind of more riveting type spice pretty well within the aspect of it. It's a good particular type tone here. This definitely has this pretty shocking type one. It's a pretty shell shock type one to kind of get this real. This is a pretty shell shock type one in terms of the quality. Not to say it's a surprise, but just the pitch as far as saying. This is a pretty severe anchor off this album as far as those pairs can have. Definitely excellent type pitch can get this particular aspect because it just really embellishes kind of the format of 445, 545 pitches like that, just to spice of figuring out how things are going to happen within the aspect of some good kind of just evening spice kind of turn up within the pitch as far as those pairs can have. Just kind of good, just jive and rivet as far as those pairs can have a good type pitch. Pour Me a Drink's the second single, and these are some of these type ones. It's a good 1-2 punch. This one is not quite as spicy as I Had Some Help, but it has a good aspect of the good commerce with it. It's a good makeshift kind of 1-2 punch for some of these type ones. I want to say that some of these, at least Pour Me a Drink and Guy for that, were also top 20 singles, so this album did pretty excellently. But it's just within pitch as far as saying in the traditional type format as to how albums used to come out within the pitch. For the most part, you get these singles. I think some of these kind of released before the album particularly came out, so it's just kind of the format. These charted within the appeal, but I think probably this album, in terms of the one, I think that probably got the lion's share of the airplay back in the summer of 2024 and such, and the fall of 2024 was probably I Had Some Help. But it may to a certain extent, if you catch the right times, you might have gotten Pour Me a Drink and Guy for that. But these are still excellent type ones. Do appreciate all the songs on here, like I was saying. But Pour Me a Drink is a gravel road kind of routine traffic. I'd have to say here, just local. This is local kind of grab evening drive through some of those type pitches and just some bar hop fun within the pitch. So just kind of the format amidst that. It's kind of more traditional type country within the sense as far as those particular. Pour Me a Drink is more traditional kind of karaoke country as far as those pairs we kind of have with it, just to miss the product of the wrap up of just alright, I feel I Had Some Help. This has a little bit more pitch. It just the makeshift kind of embrace of switching to flip mode, 545 pitches like that. But this one, a little bit more just to miss the travel the last 10 or 15 minutes before getting to the venue, or the initial moments of just some venue buzz within some of that pitch that just have a good just round of drinks or two just with the pitch behind it. Like I said, the theme of this album is not within the full-bound kind of Friday craziness. So it's just kind of the aspect as far as saying it is kind of has more the conduit type moments amidst these appeals more so than the full-bound. This is the one where you're going to be rocked out, tongue out, and all those type of things within the pitch as far as those formats going to have. It's just kind of the pitch is what I'd say. But I look after good type tones. Guy for that's the third single. It's another top 20 single within the pitch. Just a light lick kind of late day dredge kind of get within the aspects here. Just some work shift relief. I would definitely say just typical kind of air and get done as far as those first going to happen. This one is similar to I Had Some Help, but just the pitch. This one's a little bit more straightforward in the sense, not quite as in the mode for some crunkness as far as those first gonna have. Just kind of miss the pitch of just typical routine day. Is when you think of 97, 98 kind of alternative rock, some of those type pitches, just kind of in a country type format, just kind of the fare behind it. More lackadaisical, maybe it's Tuesday and you have work the next day, some of those type pitches just within the format of that particular fare, just just preoccupied or just more stone-faced and driven with an aspect behind it. It just kind of has the tone of just this usual kind of evening push within some of those type formats just within that aspect behind it. This is probably be a pretty factory type one for some makeshift radio as far as those first going to happen, just some good music. What Don't Belong to Me is the fourth single, and this is a little bit more pop friendly, a little bit more fizzy. It's a glisten kind of sunset gaze kind of get here, just typical kind of 2000s country within the aspect. This one definitely reminds of Taylor Swift, some of those type folks, Carrie Underwood, but within pitches like that, some of those type ones, Miranda Lambert. just within the format. It's like some 5 p.m. kind of makeshift as far as those formats kind of happen. So I look within the tone as far as saying just one of those type ones that you would have gotten that just feels like a real starry, maybe not so much starry, but just the pitch of just optimistic or just having some good pep about just the concept of just like that embrace it, just sunset gaze, some of those type pitches, and just like a Tibble type frolic, just in a more kind of fizzy type sense within the format. So this one has the relative fizz if I had some help, but it's just a little bit more kind of, it has a little bit more frolic in mind with an aspect of it. Just kind of like a day evening, just kind of more for bells in mind, I'd say, within the pitch behind as far as those first going to have just a little bit more romantic spice within the aspect. A little bit more romantic spice within the pitch as far as those formats going to have. Excellent type feel definitely within the pitch. Just would have to say, just some good radio gloss. Definitely some good radio gloss about it as far as what's going to happen. Just would look within the appeal, just a glossier type one. I'd say Losers is the 5th single, and this is more traditional like the Post Malone. Then Losers is the 5th single. This is more traditional like the Post Malone kind of format amidst like his Austin album from 2023. It's like a dusky kind of day shift hero to kind of get within the aspects here. This definitely reminds of 2023 Post, like I was saying. Sip a cold brew to this one, definitely. It's like some basic afterthoughts. So it's just the pitch. This one's kind of more down in the dumps. It's the format of that typical kind of dredge and just moody kind of like funk that he particularly does, unlike usual some of that fare that Post Malone's more known for. This is actually an album that doesn't have like the typical kind of, this album is not filled with like the usual kind of Post Malone kind of malign when you think of songs like that he did off of Beer Bongs and Bentleys, like Psycho and some of those type ones, and Goodbyes, some of those type pitches. Like this is actually, when you think of Post Malone usually kind of being more in a funk and just kind of having some of that hero within the pitch, this is not as full bound within those aspects, but this is like vintage Post Malone here to be able to get. And on top of that, as a bonus, Jelly Roll is on this particular song, so it's just him and his particular dredge that he's known for throughout the 2020s era as far as those pitch kind of. So excellent, good combo on this particular song. This feels more of like old school kind of Post Malone with the pitch, but definitely has the appeal behind it. Just to say on top of that, there's not a ton of Walmart music on here from Post Malone. It's kind of the pitch of just saying. On top of that, there's not a ton of Walmart music from Post Malone as far as this pitch can happen. Just within the format as far as saying, I mean, you would look after it, maybe a song, more or less, like, I mean, I feel like there's a little bit more daytime type frolic within the pitch, but in terms of some of those kind of overcast kind of Tuesdays or Thursdays pitches like that, where you would pick up like a box of beer or like some Mountain Dew, some of those particular type formats actually doesn't have that typical kind of dredge behind it. It's in the pitch. I mean, you would think country music would have some degree of affluence about Walmart music within the pitch behind it. Maybe there is some of these type moments on here, but it didn't seem as much within the full boundness. Maybe Losers would be within that relative type pitch. This is probably the closest one to Post Malone from like previous times of his previous albums, but good type dredge about it. Just would have to say. So yeah, I'm just going to burn down the list with some of these because this is a review. There's a lot of songs on here to get to within those formats, so just being able to say. So some nice ones on here. California Sober is a real excellent type ones, like a Shiny Commerce kind of popular air and run to be able to get within aspects of it, and Summer Hop within those pitches. Just definitely some Willie Nelson type vibes about this particular song. This real hippie fried pitch, just like they like the tone behind a good song to toke to. There's some particular ones like I forget the name of some of those particular type songs, but this feels like a Stallion type song within the pitch. Not to say Stallion in terms of women, but just the pitch as far as just feels like something kind of more outback within like gravel roads where you drive around in like a hippie kind of van, some of those type pitches within the format of it. But it's a good type pitch. Good phrase to say California Sober. Not to recommend like worse stuff than that within the pitch, but just the pitch as far as saying it's the product of basically what that means is still smoking weed, some of those type fares within the pitch as far as those formats kind of. But just the pitch as far as looking towards it. Good neighborhood kind of go around. Mexico is a nice one. It's like a good combo with California Sober, I'd have to say here. Just kind of a busybody day shift goings as far as those formats going to happen. Just kind of a handful with the bell that's really preoccupying within the pitch as far as those formats going to happen. Just kind of particular Chica that has you doing a lot as far as those pairs going to happen. It's kind of a full day within some of those tones. So just the product of this after effects within the day fair, just kind of where it is busybodied, where it's not just going to be 2 hour. It's not going to just be 2 hour activity and then that wraps things up as far as those first happens. It's just within the pitch as far as the format kind of happens. Some of these type ones. Nosedive is a nice one on here. It's like a simmering kind of sunset extra thoughts to be able to get within the aspects here. Definitely good tone. Reminds of like late 2010s. This particular song reminds of late 2010s Post Malone as far as those pairs going to happen, just like a country version of Circles as far as those formats going to happen. So it's just within pitch. It's kind of that same typical kind of dredge, just the malign about it. This is one of those type ones, just like Losers. I'd say there are some pitches that have some of that particular type of appeal, like the funk. Like I said, this album's not as full bound within those pitches, but for formats, the thing to pay attention to is you're not going to get the production fare off this album that has. You're not going to get the production fare off this album that has that particular format of vintage Post Malone from like 2017 and 2019. Some of those type fares. but you do get the pitch like those modes that he was kind of in. It is more reminiscent like the moves that kind of happen just because the pitch, you look within the song format, it's just kind of when you think of Post Malone, like I was saying, from like Goodbyes and Psycho and some of those type pitches like that, and Goodbyes and Psycho and some pitches like that, some of those type ones in circles, some of those particular type fares, there's kind of the aspect as far as saying that these are some ones that just have some throwback kind of vibes. Devil I've Been is a quality one as well. It's like a basic autumn stroll, I'd have to say here, a neighborhood hop and bop, I'd say, within the pitches behind it. Definitely a good song to grab like some snacks, some pitches like that, grab some bugles, some good stuff, some of that goodies type fare within the aspects as far as those pitches can happen. This one's actually interesting, just kind of get like a neighborhood jaunt as far as this person can happen. For the most part, the product of it, when I look after this album, it kind of has the pitch of just more kind of amidst like the traverse of it just within the pitch, not terribly much around the neighborhood in terms of, like, I feel like the format as far as saying this, it's not really as smoke centric, just to say. For the most part, there is a little bit of drinking on here within the aspect. You do get some spices, like I said, it has like the lead up to some of those type moments and like the occasional bar hop within a relative sense, but in terms of like the get shit faced type songs, the ones that you're going to really have like the aspect of wanting to get tore up within some of those type moments, like when you think of a song like, when you think of like vintage Post Malone, like Rockstar, some of those type pitches within the format of it, or Congratulations, some of those type ones, just the format as far as saying that. There are a couple of songs I'm going to notice there are a couple songs I would say on here to notice within those pitches as far as talking about just the aspect as far as saying that there are probably like some in-between kind of smoke and togage type modes within the relative aspect, but it's not as full bound, where like it just kind of has it more juggled within a responsible sense than the typical Post Malone of previous. It's just kind of pitch. Like California is Sober, for example, I think you can tell with your palates if you're going on like some sort of air and run or pitches like that, not just air and run, but just kind of like road trip, some of those type fares where you're going to have a bunch of pals and there's going to be hella smokish, hotbox and the whip, some of those type things, or just good traverse and just hotel, motel type noises and pitches, some good type products for some of that type smokish type fare. And then I'd say another one that kind of goes with that goes without saying, but this within the format is kind of within the pitch behind it. So, but Devil I've Been is like a nice one for like some kind of errand or just get some goodies. And there are a lot of guests on here, like I was saying, the lead single, I Had Some Help, has Morgan Wallen on here. There's basically a guest on damn near every song. They're noteworthy country artists. A lot of these folks are going to be folks you're going to recognize full bound. Blake Shelton was on the second single, Pour Me a Drink, good type pitch for that. And Jelly Roll was on Losers, and What Don't Belong to Me I guess that one didn't have a guest on there, but this, being able to say within some of those type formats. Yeah, Guy for that had Luke Combs, so it's a good type pitch to be able to get some of these. But so a song that I feel like probably should have had Jelly Roll. Hardy is a nice pitch on this particular song, but I think this definitely could have used a Jelly Roll verse, something like that would have been an excellent type fare. As the song Hide My Gun is like an after hours kind of streaming country malaise, kind of get within the aspects of it. This like some post kind of bar hop fog, I say within the pitch, just the after product of got done with bar dredge and some of that type pitch, have a bell nearby, some of those particular type formats, just the pitch as far as saying this kind of the after effect of just like the unwind and retire as far as this pitch can happen, this kind of that after, it's kind of more neighborhood kind of sludge as far as this pitch can happen within the tone behind it, just kind of the more domain kind of centerage within the pitch behind it. I had to say here, and this song definitely reminds of Jelly Roll, like I was saying. It's just the after effect. This is kind of another one that has like vintage Post Malone aspects on it here. This is one of the ones that's just not as much full bound within the typical kind of crinkled kind of country template within some of that formats you'd say within the pitch behind, but this just has the after effect of like some Spotify type tinges within the product, a little bit of taste of like the 2023 Austin album within some of that formats, just something for the kind of the folks that remember like Post Malone when he was like a streaming kind of cash cow within some of those type forms. It's just one of those type ones that just has the after effect of just like after I was within the pitch, of just something to kind of have unwind. Now, not a ton of songs like this on here. I look within the pitch. Probably I'd say if you're looking for another song like Hide My Gun or something like that, for the most part in terms of like Night Sledge, is the probably it's not to say it's not a night album, but I'd say within the format just like more kind of retire and just more soft spoken kind of smokiness within the format. It's not as full bound within the aspect. Let's say maybe Losers would be another nice one within those pitches. That one's a little bit more in a slump, but it's just within the format as far as saying. Never Love You Again is a nice one. It's like a dreary kind of vintage 70s, 80s country diner type music, I'd have to say within the aspect here. Just this like a peaceful kind of strut and move as far as this pitch can happen. So just within the pitch, feels like something Uncle Kracker would have done in like the 2000s, or folks older than Uncle Kracker, folks like Bob Seger, some of those type folks that would have been like diner music that you would have caught when you're just picking up like a usual meal, getting like, you know, a sandwich or a plate of spaghetti, some of those type pitches within the format. Is something with an Outback type, more kind of traditional type fashion from back, 30, 40 some odd years ago, pitches like that within those fairs. Good type tone. Yours is a nice one on here. This is one that only has Post Malone. It's a good aspect, personal type song on here, talking about his daughter. He recently had a daughter within those pitches, but this is like this reminds of like a 2000s kind of country lick pastime, and kind of get within the aspects here. Just like a personal kind of stretcher. Songs like a personal kind of stretcher, I'd say just some evening dredge within those formats. So just kind of the product of just like the Tibble type format of like one of those country type tunes that you would have gotten throughout like. Yeah, I'd say yours is just like some Tibble kind of evening dredge within the format of it. Just personal type one with the aspects as far as those fairs can happen. Just that sunset kind of basking within some of those particular type fairs. Just kind of almost a starry type one within the pitch, but just kind of the format of just more tugging within a sense as far as those formats kind of happen. Just the pitch as far as like probably a song. So yours is like a song that's going to have more meaning years later within those impacts of a distant pitch as far as those fairs come. So I look within the tone. But yeah, I'd say Missing You Like This is a nice one. Just what I'd say it's like a slump kind of day shift grime to be able to get here. This reminds of like 2023 Post Malone. I'd say within the pitch, some of those type formats, it's like a good power ballad move as far as those fairs going to go. So it's just the pitch. Kind of one. This is probably one of the more kind of upside down type ones within the pitch of this particular album compared to this one, along with Nosedive, has some of those particular type formats. Just kind of like I want to say that Austin from 2023 didn't really have a power ballad on there as far as those formats can happen. It's one of those type ones that you would think when you would get some. I can't think as full bound as to who particularly did country power ballads with an aspect. I know there's probably some ones in there like you'd probably say like probably someone like. You say someone like Bruce Springsteen or Tim McGraw, folks like that, particularly within those formats, just within the pitch as far as those first game, but it's just within the impact as far as saying it's particular Post Malone nailing that. This probably could have been a decent radio single within the format, but this album felt a little bit more contemporary. This feels a little bit more retro bound within a sense bomb, but it's a good type pitch for it. Wrong Ones is a quality one. This has Tim McGraw on here, which is an excellent type appeal. California Sober had Chris Stapleton. Hide My Gun had Hardy, like I was saying. Good type pitch for that. Mexico has Billy Strings. I think I talked about that one. Good type fair for that. Missing You Like This has Luke Combs. He's on here twice. Good type pitch for that. But yeah, Wrong Ones is basically this like a late day kind of dinner rush, I'd had to say here. Wrong Ones with Tim McGraw is a nice one. It's like a late day kind of dinner rush pep to kind of get within the aspects here. Just a vintage kind of movie scene country. I'd say within those tones. Just feels like something like when they head out to like a bar or something like that. Just the product of feeling spicy kind of within the aspect of just going out for some socialized. It's like some good get around and kind of barbecue type night pitches like that. Good for some chats. This is the format just in a more traditional type sense. This has the format just a little bit of spice of feeling froggy. Some of those type aspects of like some socialized just within the tone. Good combination with a few of the singles that I'd say. Most the album's most might and spice in terms of like some aspect for like Friday type materials at the beginning of this album. I would definitely say between I Had Some Help, Pour Me a Drink, and Wrong Ones, this is like these are like a good 1, 2, 3 type punch you get within some of those type formats, like some good night shifts between barbecue spots, barbecue pubs, some of those type fairs, just pitches like that where you would get wings and like some cold beers, some of those type of appeals. So it's just within the format, just feeling kind of spicy and just the aspect of just feeling chatty. Have the Heart with Dolly Parton's a quality one on here as far as these pitches going to happen. It's like a jury kind of daytime going, so I'd say with the impact of it, just an outback kind of restaurant and saloon day type appeals within the format. This just kind of more day shift in mind. Just feels like within the pitch behind it is kind of just the after effects of it. Just feels like a date afternoon kind of hop as far as this pitch can happen, just in the tone behind it. So this one is just an interesting type one within pitch because you look after the format that for the most part this album has a little bit more of amidst either like the day scene or the night scene just within the pitch as far as like a lot of this particular album has more evening shift, kind of just done with the product of like traffic and makeshift, some of those particular type fairs within the product of it. A lot of this particular album, like songs like Pour Me a Drink, I Had Some Help, and Wrong Ones, some of those type pitches have more evening shift kind of boundness, just getting towards like a venue, some of those type moments, heading out for barbecue, some of those type appeals. And you do have like some after makeshift kind of moments on here, like Missing You Like This, and Right About You, and some of those type ones, and Guy for that, some of those type pitches. But this is kind of one that's just more missed, like a date afternoon, kind of within like the date shift, just kind of seen within the product. It just kind of just feels more amidst like, at least in my opinion, it feels more of like the conduct, just more kind of lunch hour, just pitched like that 3 o'clock p.m. So those type pitched within the format, just kind of amidst that. This is a song that's just not as preoccupied with work shift as far as those first can have. So just kind of missed the product. It just like kind of a miss more daytime leisure as far as those formats can have. So within pitch as far as saying, trying to think of other songs I haven't talked about here. I think I've covered a lot of these. I don't think I've talked about Finer Things yet. This is another one on here. It's like an outback kind of day shift out in the air, I'd have to say, within the products of it. Just feeling awake and itching to get tore up within some of those type products. So there are some ones on here within some of those type formats. It's another of those type ones, like I was saying, that just has the pitch behind. This would probably be a good, nice one for more of like 3 345, 445 pitches like that. This is one of those type ones, just like the one I was saying, like wrong ones, some of those type pitches. This is a good 1-2 punch. Finer things and wrong ones are a good 1-2 punch for some of those type fares of disc. Whether it is just going out for like a good meal, something that particular fare, but it also has a spice. I'd say finer things is a little bit more, where wrong ones feels more of like getting food and just kind of going out for like some socializing, like a restaurant scene. I feel like I would definitely say in the pitch behind it, that finer things gives off more vibes than the pitch. It is like a little bit of get crunkness. Yeah, but I'd say finer things definitely miss the pitch of just having the product of wanting to get towards like some good products of like some good house party type mode or just crunk type mode within the pitch. Just feeling kind of social in a more kind of supply type sense within the pitch as far as those formats can happen. Just amidst like some good like conduct of like some get together typeness within some beer runs pitches like that. See, there's some other ones on here. Like goes without saying, I don't think I talk about this one. It's like a basic kind of evening traffic and slag, I'd say, within the pitch behind it here. Just some day face kind of ponder just within the aspects. So it's just kind of, by day face, I mean the product like that typical fare you'd have when you're just amidst like the day shift of just like 3 o'clock p.m. or 5 o'clock p.m. Just the product of what you would think just got done with tasks and those type of formats where it's not quite the anguish like the rumination when you have more spare time to be in a funk and you're not still having to be social or something like that when that with the goings out, but just kind of like not, I mean, within the traffic, whether or not it is car traffic or pitches like that, but just kind of more day fare of just the pitch as far as saying that you still, they're not quite out of work mode or just like day fare, just, yeah, day face within the pitch as far as saying just some day face ponder, just good song to grab RVs and kind of smoke too as far as this pitch kind of, just the product of it. Kind of, it's kind of extra kind of afterthought within the pitch, but nails the appeal behind it. Then I don't think I talked about Right About You either. It's like a light lick, kind of just got done with day shift, I'd had to say here within the pitch behind it. Some of those type ones, like Guy for That, and some of these type pitches behind it, like goes without saying some of those type fares. It's like some relative embellish about this one, just good for some meal time as far as those fares kind of have. So I just look within the product. This one's a little bit lighter within the pitch behind it. It's a little bit more fizzy within the aspect, very similar to like What Don't Belong to Me and Guy for That, some of those particular type ones. So it's just the product of this. Right About You is amidst the product like 4 o'clock, 4:30 p.m. type dredge within some of those type pitches within the fair as far as the typical kind of traffic amongst it. So this usual good romp, some of that product of it within the fairs. So I think I talked about every song on here as far as those pitch kind of definitely within the product as far as those aspects kind of go along with this. The sound gets a 10 out of 10, easy enough. I recommend all the songs. Social score, I'll probably like the social score. I look within the impact. You would think 5 singles, 3 top 20 singles, some of those type pitches in the format. I think there's at least another one that was a top 30 singles. So it's just in the pitch as far as saying was a big deal within the pitch. Kept Post Malone in the spotlight, shot him back up to stardom within some of those type formats compared to 2023. It's not like that was a bad album. It's just the pitch. This one's a little bit more noteworthy in terms of commercial type aspects and casual. But I still feel like the product is an excellent album. It did have a #1 off here, some of those type pitches, but I still feel like comparatively it's just not as predominant as Post Malone was in 2018, 2016, 2019, 2020, some of those type fairs. Doesn't have his full bound kind of a stretcher. Maybe I'm just mistaken because I haven't listened to the radio's full bound, but I think obviously like a song like I Had Some Help seems like a pretty nice one within the impact of it, but in terms of like some of that stretching type of feel, I just question what the anchor is. But I'd say on top of that, just did not having like a dance kind of smash, some of those type formats, like the closest things like some nightlife in terms of something contemporary that's not just amidst like the day shift or just kind of more air and run and like a work shift kind of mode or just more kind of typical kind of dredge about it and blase. It would probably just be songs like Hide My Gun, Losers, and I Had Some Help within some of those type pitches, which is not as common as full bounce. I'd say probably social score would get like a 9.75, but for most part I recommend all the songs just in the pitch. I mean, if you're looking, if you like the balance and the overall versatility and varietizedness, then I'd say it'd be a 10 out of 10. But in my opinion, I'd say more within the format of 9.75. But looking at the pitch, in terms of the future, like Post Malone has followed this one up with The Long Bed, which has an additional 10 songs, like I was saying. So I'm going to get to that within those pairs, definitely within the pitch behind it, just within the tone. And he did drop a Nirvana tribute back in April 2025. So it's just within those pitches as far as those formats can happen. But this is a classic here, just excellent type of appeal. Post Malone really nailed the country aspect, and he did it without the typical kind of usual kind of malign and dislike that kind of, he did it without the heartache and kind of bar hop type dredge that a lot of things. And Post Malone did it in like a new type format, just not typical kind of bar hop drunkenness within some of those type of feels. It has new aspects on here, nails it for the whole part, and it's just to the pitch. I mean, I would say it probably could have used like another social spark on here, something like that, but other than that, it's pretty much a clean sweep kind of full bound victory.